Over the past few days, we've received a ton of new information on when we should be expecting the brand new 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is really exciting, but unfortunately, there's also some very bad news. As most of you know, I made a bet that Apple would be revealing the M1X MacBook Pros at this year's WWDC event, which happened last month, but they obviously never got released. My prediction was based on three main things: the reports that said that we should be expecting the MacBook Pros in the second half of this year, and then the fact that Apple revealed their iMac at the spring-loaded event, but didn't start shipping them for an entire month, and then the report that Apple's next Apple Silicon chip has already begun mass production. So I basically combined all of that info and made the claim that the MacBook Pros would be announced at WWDC, but wouldn't ship until July, which is the second half of the year, matching up to all of those reports, including a report from Mark Gurman saying that we could see them launch as early as this summer, but of course I was wrong. And we later found out that they were most likely delayed due to mini LED component shortages, which is extremely disappointing. So we made a follow-up video where I, of course, shaved my beard like I said I would before discussing the possibilities of when we could be seeing the new MacBook Pros getting released, and we basically narrowed it down to two different options. The first and most likely option was that Apple would host an event in either October or November like they did last year for the M1 Mac event, which would of course really suck to wait that long. And the second option was that Apple would hold a surprise event this summer, either in July or August, just for the new M1X MacBook Pro, which isn't as likely because Apple doesn't do summer events. And unfortunately, a few days ago, we got some very bad news from Mark Gurman, who was basically the most reliable Apple leaker out there if you consider his accuracy rating and his vast number of leaks put together. He says that, quote, "For Apple, all attention is on the fall, so the next several weeks are destined to be light on product news." And then he even said, "Stay tuned for plenty of news after the summer doldrums," which basically means a state of inactivity, stagnation, or depression. He went even further, reminding people not to forget about the Mac, with new MacBook Pros coming later this year. So basically, from his perspective, he's not expecting any Macs from Apple over the summer, and he's especially not expecting any kind of summer Apple event. This is pretty crappy news because, as most of you know, there's a tech drought going on right now with basically nothing new to cover, especially from Apple. So that basically leaves us with the most likely option, which is a Mac event in October or November. But wait, we just got some brand new reports that actually claim that we're getting these MacBook Pros sooner than expected. According to the Economic Daily News, new AirPods and MacBooks are due to launch later this year, with Apple suppliers apparently hurrying to increase capacity in preparation of new launches, with shipping momentum expected to be significantly stronger from the third quarter of the year at the earliest, which is in between July and September. And then getting even more interesting, DigiTimes reported that Apple is going to launch the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro late in the third quarter. And Mac Rumors believes that it most likely means it's going to happen in September, which is really odd. But then we can go back to a report that DigiTimes made in early June, which said that Apple would begin shipments of new MacBook Pros in the third quarter. Going even further, DigiTimes claimed that Apple is reportedly spending $200 million on other suppliers to make sure that they have enough mini LED displays for their upcoming 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros, which shows that they're in a rush to get enough supply. And this totally lines up to earlier reports way back in February and April saying that these new MacBook Pros will for sure be getting mini LED displays, which some people recently started doubting. So apparently, the idea is that Apple is going to be revealing the new MacBook Pros at their September iPhone event, which sounds extremely weird, but it might actually make sense. First off, according to recent leaks, the iPhone 13 might actually be called the 12S, which points to it not being that exciting of an upgrade, especially since it seems like Touch ID is no longer coming until next year. On top of that, we recently got bad news for the Apple Watch Series 7 as well, with any redesigns not expected to happen until next year, which is extremely disappointing. So if Apple ends up having two products that don't get any awesome or major updates, people might be extremely disappointed with the September event, and that's obviously really bad news for Apple. So there's a chance that they're going to be revealing the new MacBook Pros at the event itself to make sure it's an awesome and exciting event despite the lackluster iPhone and Apple Watch updates. And that would fit perfectly in line with the reports that claim that the new MacBook Pros will be launching in the third quarter of this year, and it'll also match up to what Mark Gurman is expecting with no new Apple products until after the summer. However, I personally feel that these Macs deserve their own Mac-related event because mixing the announcements with iPhones and Apple Watches will seem a bit too crowded. So what if there's still a small chance that Apple does some sort of a press release or mini event in August with a launch date at the end of September? Because on top of all of these new products, we're actually expecting even more, like the AirPods 3, which I believe are coming alongside the new iPhones at the September event. And I'm very confident about that because in March of this year, DigiTimes reported that new AirPods are expected to launch in the third quarter, which points to September. And on top of that, Mark Gurman said in May that AirPods 3 with a pro-looking design will launch later this year, and what better time than alongside the iPhones. And about a week ago, DigiTimes reported that at least 7 Apple suppliers have kicked off component shipments for upcoming Apple products like the Apple Watch, iPhone, and the 3rd gen AirPods, which clearly shows that they're all going to be releasing at the same time. And on top of that, we're expecting the iPad 9 to get released as well, which can also be revealed at the September event. So in my opinion, it seems a bit too crowded to show off the MacBook Pros at the same time as everything else. I personally think it makes more sense for Apple to either wait until October or November for these MacBook Pros, with a small but very unlikely chance that Apple will reveal them in August with a launch in late September. However, if Apple waits until after the iPhone event to reveal the new MacBook Pros, this brings up the question of what Apple is going to be calling the new chip that's going into those MacBook Pros. If they call it the M1X, it might seem weird to do that after revealing the A15 chip in the new iPhones, but it's going to match up to their usual naming scheme. And if they end up calling it the M2 chip, it's going to be even more weird because they're going to be the higher end chips. So the big question is, what will Apple name the chip that's going into the redesigned lower end MacBook Air? I personally believe the M2 chip will be very fitting for that lower end MacBook, since it's also going to be perfectly fitting for the 2022 iPad Pro, which we just made a video about. So in my opinion, Apple is either going to be calling the new chip going into the MacBook Pros the M1X chip, like we previously expected, or they're just going to go straight to the M2X chip, and then later, when they reveal the MacBook Air, they'll give that the M2 chip. Yes, that sounds confusing, so I personally think the biggest bet is that it's going to come with the M1X chip, and it's going to feature the same cores as the M1 chip, which might seem weird after the A15 comes with newer cores, but hey, we can all blame the chip shortages for that. Unless, of course, Apple shocks everyone at the end of this summer with a surprise MacBook Pro reveal, which obviously isn't as likely, but it would surely be awesome to not wait that long for new Macs. If you totally disagree with my thoughts on the MacBook Pro release date, go ahead and comment your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed this video, click that circle button to subscribe for more videos like this one. Definitely check out one of those 2 videos right there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.